The wedding reception was everything my sister, Melissa, had dreamed of. An elegant hall overlooking the bay, a string quartet playing softly, a champagne tower sparkling under the chandelier, 200 guests dressed to perfection. She'd worked for this day, planned it down to the smallest detail, and she earned every bit of the spotlight. What she didn't earn was the right to use it to humiliate me. Melissa lifted her champagne flute and smiled at the crowd. "I want to thank my family," she said, glowing in her wedding gown, "especially my parents who supported me through law school. Unlike some people, I chose a stable career path." She didn't look at me, but everyone else did. A polite wave of laughter passed through the room. I was at table 9, not with the family, not even close. My parents, grandparents, and Melissa's new in-laws sat at the front. Table 9 was shoved near the kitchen, surrounded by distant cousins and acquaintances who barely remembered my name. Melissa kept going. "My parents always told us, get an education, build a real future. I'm proud to say I listened." She raised her glass. "To stability, success, and doing things the right way." The room applauded. Mom and Dad glowed with pride. I was 28. At 22, I'd founded Quantum Games, a company that started in my college apartment and reshaped an entire industry. But to my family, I was still the kid playing video games. Then Dad stood to speak. "I'm so proud of Melissa," he said, voice thick with emotion. "Top of her class, passed the bar on her first try, now working at Whitmore and Associates. That's the kind of success that makes a parent proud." He paused, looked right at me. "I just wish both my children understood the value of hard work and legitimate careers." The meaning was clear enough to sting. Next came my new brother-in-law, Jason, all charm and self-satisfaction. "Melissa's dedication and professionalism inspire me," he said. "She represents the best of our generation. Focused, educated, committed. Not like these tech kids who think they can get rich quick off some app or video game." More laughter. Melissa smiled. I didn't. I glanced down at my phone under the table. 3 new messages from my CFO. "Forbes list drops in 20 minutes. PR team's ready. Congrats in advance, boss." I almost laughed. The timing was poetic. I looked around the hall, Mom wiping tears, Dad beaming, Melissa glowing, Jason playing the perfect groom. And then, near the entrance, I spotted someone I recognized, Catherine Chin, senior editor at Forbes. We'd spoken a few times during the verification process. She told me she might stop by. She was family friends with Jason's parents. Our eyes met. She smiled and walked toward me. "Alex," she greeted softly. "Congratulations." "I know," I said with a small grin. "They don't know yet, do they?" she asked, glancing toward the head table. "Not yet. This'll be quite a moment," she murmured. We talked briefly about the profile, the numbers, the featured title. Youngest self-made billionaire in gaming. Age 28. Net worth $2.1 billion. Quantum Games valued at $8.5 billion. 1,200 employees. 85 million active players. An AI gaming platform launching next quarter. And yet, to my family, I was just the gamer. Catherine checked her phone. "It's live," she said. "Forbes just published." A quiet hum rolled through the reception. Guests checking their phones, double-taking, whispering. Then the wave grew. More screens lit up, more eyes darted toward me. At the head table, Jason's father, a businessman who always read Forbes, froze mid-scroll. His eyes widened. He leaned over, showed my father. Dad's face drained of color. He snatched the phone, read it again. Mom saw his expression, took the phone, and gasped, hand covering her mouth. The music softened. The air shifted. Conversations turned into murmurs, then silence. "Is that her brother?" someone whispered. "The gaming billionaire?" another asked. Melissa noticed the change. Her laughter faded. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice sharp in the sudden quiet. Catherine stepped forward, poised and calm. "Congratulations on your wedding, Melissa," she said kindly. "I'm Catherine Chin from Forbes. I was actually here to speak with your sister, Alex." Melissa blinked. "My sister? Why?" Catherine smiled. "We just published our annual billionaires list. Alex is featured as the youngest self-made billionaire in gaming. The room went dead silent. Her company, Quantum Games, valued at $8.5 billion. Her personal net worth, $2.1 billion. Everyone froze. Melissa's jaw dropped. That's not. Alex doesn't even have a company. She just makes video games. Catherine didn't miss a beat. She founded and runs one of the most successful gaming companies in the world, she said, her voice steady. Quantum Games. 85 million active users. Revolutionary AI tech. Partnerships with every major platform. The article just went live on Forbes.com. Phones came out instantly. People started scrolling, reading, their expressions morphing from confusion to disbelief. Dad stood abruptly, his face flushed. Alex, is this true? Every eye in the room turned to me as I walked toward the head table, feeling the weight of the moment pressed down like heat. It's true, I said simply. But you told us you were working on little mobile games, Dad stammered. I told you I founded a gaming company, I reminded him. You called it a hobby. Mom was already scrolling through someone's phone, her lips moving silently as she read. This says you have over 1,000 employees. 1,200, I corrected. We just opened a new studio in Tokyo. She blinked. And your worth is really? 2.1 billion, I said softly. As of this morning's valuation. Melissa shook her head like she could just shake the words away. This doesn't make any sense. You work from home. You wear hoodies and sneakers. You don't even have a real office. I have 5 offices across 4 countries, I said. Working from home is a choice. That's one of the perks of building something yourself. Jason's father spoke up, eyes glued to his phone. It says here, you pioneered the mobile gaming architecture that most of the industry uses now. Our Synapse Core engine, I explained. We license it to other developers. His eyes widened. Apple, Google, Microsoft. You're partnered with all of them. I nodded once. And yes, I was keynote speaker at last year's Game Developers Conference. Dad was still gripping his chair, knuckles white. Why didn't you ever tell us? I did, Dad. Over and over. My voice didn't rise, but it cut cleanly through the silence. 2 years ago at Thanksgiving, I told you we'd close Series C funding. You asked when I was going to get a real job. Last Christmas, I said we'd hit 50 million users. You told me maybe I could use that experience to apply for marketing positions at real companies. Mom's voice was small now. But you never said it was this big. I told you my company was doing well, I said. You just assumed doing well meant I was paying rent on time. Melissa finally found her words again, sharp, defensive. This is my wedding day, Alex. You couldn't have told us before. You had to let this come out now. I didn't know Forbes was publishing today, I said evenly. But let's be honest, would it have mattered? You spend your toast mocking me for not having a real job. For not following your version of the right path. That's what normal people do, she snapped. They get degrees. They build careers the right way. Not by playing games. I didn't play games, Melissa. My voice was calm but cold. I'd built an $8.5 billion company that employs over 1,000 people and serves 85 million users. That's pretty real. One of her law school friends suddenly spoke up. Wait, Quantum Games? You made Infinity Quest. My team did, I said. My kids are obsessed with that game, she laughed in disbelief. It's everywhere. Another guest chimed in. You're the one who built that new AI platform everyone's talking about, the one changing mobile gaming. We're announcing the full system next month, I confirmed. Jason, still sitting beside Melissa, stared at me like he'd never seen me before. During the rehearsal dinner, I told you video games were for children. I said you should think about law school. I remember, I said. And you just said nothing. What was I supposed to say? I asked. You weren't asking. You were lecturing. You didn't want a conversation. You wanted to feel right. All around the room, people were now scrolling through their phones, watching interviews, reading articles, recognizing my face from photos with tech CEOs and venture capitalists. Uncle Richard stepped forward, holding up his phone. Alex, this says you turned down a $3 billion offer from Microsoft last year. It wasn't the right move for the company. You turned down $3 billion. I'm building something bigger than a quick exit, I said. Mom was crying now, tears of pride, confusion, shame, maybe all three. How did we not know? Why didn't we see it? I met her eyes. Because you never asked what I did, I said quietly. You only asked if I was making ends meet, if I needed money. You never asked who I was actually becoming. You offered to help me find a real job, I said quietly. But you never once asked what I actually do. Never cared to understand my company, my work, my vision. You just assumed I was lost because I wasn't following your path. Melissa's maid of honor jumped in, voice brittle but polite. Well, that's exciting news. Let's toast to both sisters, one a brilliant attorney, one a brilliant entrepreneur. But the air in the room had already shifted. The music, the chatter, the champagne, all background noise now. Guests were glued to their phones, searching my name, reading articles, watching interviews. The so-called family disappointment had just been revealed as a billionaire, and the reception turned into a spectacle. Catherine Chin reappeared, expression apologetic but businesslike. Alex, I hate to interrupt again, but several outlets are asking for comments. CNBC wants to schedule an interview tomorrow. Tomorrow's fine, I said evenly. There's also interest in your family story, she added carefully. The contrast between public perception and reality. I'd rather not comment on that, I said. Across the room, Melissa stood frozen beside the wedding cake, her perfect night unraveling in real time. A pang of guilt hit me. This was supposed to be her day. I walked over. Melissa, I'm sorry this happened. I didn't plan it. Didn't plan it? Her tone sliced through the music. You've been hiding this for years. You let us all treat you like a failure while you were sitting on billions. You let Dad give those speeches about real careers while you were quietly building an empire. Would you have treated me any differently if you'd known? I asked. She opened her mouth, then stopped. The silence was my answer. That's what I thought, I said softly. The rest of the evening limped along, the glamour long gone. Guests kept approaching me, some genuinely curious, others suddenly eager to invest, to pitch ideas, to ask for favors or internships for their kids. Dad tried to talk to me 3 separate times, each conversation starting with, I didn't know, or you should have told us. Mom finally pulled me aside near the end of the night. Please understand, Alex. We were just worried about you. We wanted you to have stability, security, to be okay. I am okay, Mom. I've been okay for 6 years. You just refused to believe it. But how were we supposed to know? She asked helplessly. I told you, I said. You just never listened. Later, Jason's father cornered me near the bar. Alex, I work in commercial real estate. Your company must need office space or retail locations. Maybe we could. My CFO handles that, I said curtly. Of course, he stammered. Maybe we could grab coffee sometime? I'd love to learn more about your business. Everyone wanted something now that they knew. As the night wound down, I found Melissa standing alone, staring at her untouched cake. I'm sorry your day got overshadowed, I said quietly. She didn't look at me. Do you know what the worst part is? Everyone's going to remember this as the day they found out my sister was a billionaire, not as my wedding day. Yours became the story. That's not what I wanted, I said. She finally met my eyes. You sat there all night listening to us talk about real success, knowing you could end it all with one headline. I didn't make that headline, I said. Forbes did. I had no control over when they published. But you knew it was coming, she said bitterly. You could have warned us. Prepared us like you prepared me for your toast, I said, where you implied I was lazy and unsuccessful. Melissa flinched. I love you, Melissa, I continued, my voice steady. I'm proud of you for becoming a lawyer, for working hard, for achieving your goals. But you couldn't extend me the same courtesy. You assumed that because I wasn't following a path you understood, I wasn't doing anything worthwhile. You make video games, she said, but even she didn't sound convinced anymore. I built a company that brings joy to 85 million people, I said quietly. A company that employs over 1,200 people. People who support their families with good salaries and real benefits. We've pioneered technology that's now shaping an entire industry. Tell me, is that not worthwhile? She didn't answer. I left the reception early, long before the final toast. Catherine Chin walked me out. That was intense, she said as we stepped into the cool night air. That's one word for it, I replied. For what it's worth, she added, the article's blowing up. Massive engagement. Your story's connecting with people. The underestimated kid who built an empire. I didn't build it to prove anything to them. I know, she said softly. That's exactly why it's so powerful. The next morning, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Texts from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. Congratulations, job requests, loan requests. So proud of you, messages that rang hollow. And one text from Melissa. Mom and Dad want to have dinner to talk. Will you come? I stared at it for a long time before replying. I need some time. 3 days later, I did a CNBC interview. They asked about quantum games, our technology, our mission, our future. Then they asked about my family. It's complicated, I said. My family loves me. They just had a very specific idea of what success was supposed to look like. And when I didn't fit that image, they assumed I wasn't succeeding. Does it bother you, the interviewer asked, that they didn't recognize your achievements? I thought for a moment. It used to, I said. But I've realized their recognition was never the point. I built quantum games because I loved gaming, because I saw possibilities others didn't. I wanted to create something meaningful. Whether my family understood that or not doesn't change the work. But surely it hurt. Of course it hurt, I said. But it taught me something important. You can't wait for people to validate your vision when they're looking at your life through their own limited lens. After the interview aired, my mom called. We watched, she said. Your father and I, we watched the whole thing. Okay. You were right about all of it, she continued, voice trembling. We did dismiss you. We assumed. We failed you as parents. Mom, you don't. Let me finish, she said. We were so convinced that success meant law school, medicine, corporate titles, things we understood, that we never tried to see what you were building. Instead of being curious, we judged. For years, I stayed silent. Your father wants to talk to you. Melissa too. They're both here. Will you come over? Please. I looked out the window of my $6 million penthouse, the one I'd never told them about, at the city glowing below. I'll come, I said. But you need to understand something first. Anything. This isn't about money or Forbes lists or success. It's about respect, about being seen for who I am, not who you wanted me to be. If we're going to rebuild anything, that has to change. I understand, she said softly. We understand. And we're ready to really listen now. Okay, I said. I'll be there tonight. When I hung up, the apartment fell silent again. The Forbes article was still trending, still being shared, commented on, celebrated. But none of that mattered as much as this, the chance to finally have a real conversation with my family. Whether we could fix what was broken, I didn't know. But for the first time in 6 years, they were ready to see me. And that was a start.